Oh, that's right.
My film is The City of Lost Children, which is kind of similar to Abby's film in that it's more a vibe-based film, but instead of a nightmare, it's more like a dream, and has a lot of incredible surreal visuals in the spectre, that sort of like dream-like mood, as well as interesting like angles in terms of the cinematography.
It's funny, at the beginning of the month, I rewatched all of the mainline Alien movies in the lead up to Romulus. And I think I like all those movies. And even the quirky, offbeat Frenchiness of Alien Resurrection has grown on me. And I made a mental note. I was like, I should check out more Jean-Pierre Jeunet movies, because what's up with that guy? So this was exactly what I wanted. Like, I had a blast with this movie.
This had me thinking of all of the big-time French contributions to science fiction. Although I was actually telling Abby right before, I would have loved this film if I'd seen it as a kid. Unfortunately, I just watched it for the first time several hours ago in preparation for this recording. It kind of reminds me, actually, of the Mario movie from the 90s in the ludicrous landscape and, just without, tired, shoehorns to a video game franchise. But in a good way, it also reminds me of a lot of, French science fiction. So, L'Encal by Alejandro Jodorowsky, and with the art by Möbius, which is a very, very influential science fiction graphic novel, as well as the comic books Aurélien et Lorraine, which were also very influential to the point where the author saw Star Wars and he had a fit of rage about how derivative he felt it was. So I loved it. It also gave me big Final Fantasy VI vibes with all the steampunk. So yeah, I really loved this movie. It doesn't, the plot was a little difficult to follow, but I also appreciated how they didn't over-explain everything.
Yeah, it felt like part Brazil, part Jules Verne sort of thing.
Yeah, I will add to the chorus of love. I thought it was fantastic. Visual feast. Yeah, like Queen Margot, I struggled to follow the plot, but it kind of didn't matter. I found the characters I enjoyed, and I just followed their journey, and everything else was just, the film is about dreams. It kind of works in the logic of a dream at times rather than reality. But yes, so imaginative, so unique in its style. I'm sure it takes inspiration from French science fiction. Obviously, France has a history of sci-fi comic books. Metal Hurlant, I thought of as well. Howling Metal was a big sci-fi horror comic book anthology in France. But I also thought it seemed to have I suspect it had a big influence on American science fiction, especially The Matrix.
The Matrix and Monsters, Inc. It's those movies.
Monsters, Inc. Yeah, definitely. But that even just visually, that green shadowy tint reminded me so much of how The Matrix was shot. There's literally a scene of men in trench coats with sunglasses. The idea of plugging into the Matrix and entering dreams. I wouldn't be surprised if this was all directly taken from this film. But very enjoyable, great mix of comedy, surrealism, science fiction, horror. Just incredible experience. I loved it. And I can't believe I'd never heard of it.
Dude, when that guy plugged his camera feed into the other guy so he could see himself die, I was hooting and hollering. That was
so metal.
Sicko shit. I was also trawling letterboxd reviews like Duncan, and funny when I saw Jock was it said this is just like French BioShock, which I thought you'd find amusing.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, strong steampunk aesthetic. So if you're into that, you'll definitely like this film. I felt it was a bit Tim Burton-esque as well. Just the sort of exaggerated set designs and costumes. A lot of intense close-ups on characters, especially with the fisheye lens, use of rain, kind of weird and off-kilter. The two filmmakers have a similar style in that way. Did you guys have any favorite scenes or characters you wanted to highlight?
I didn't really care about them as characters, but Dominique Pinon, who is the myriad clones, and then the actor for Crank, they just have very, very odd cartoonish faces that make really compelling performances.
Sorry, was was one of him the villain, the very tall man?
Crank.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
very
His
gaunt
face is
and- yeah.
so long. It's like
Like-
poke you.
Yeah.
Anton Ego from Ratatouille just come to life.
Yes, that's what I didn't realize it, but that's him.
I like how his name just literally means sick in German. Krank. I really liked the wretched atmosphere of everything, and like it goes well with the steampunk, and it does feel like, you know, even if they started out as different things, steampunk does pair well with that extreme German expressionist influence that Tim Burton is a real student of. Too much, in my opinion. I'm not big on Tim Burton, but I like German expressionism. But like in the Poor Things sense, Poor Things did that really well, or blended well. But of the, you know, like the big emotions, the dream logic, but with the, you know, like bizarre architecture and setting.
I really like the Cyclops cult. Even though I didn't understand who they were or what they were doing, I just really liked how weird they were and their costumes.
That's the big Incal reference. That's a very big aspect of the Incal, where it's just like a lot of like technology cults and blending of the technological and the metaphysical. And but I mean, but the Incal really has no plot. This film has a plot compared to the Incal. It's just one long acid trip, but and it's not for kids. But
Yeah, I like that as an aesthetic or an idea, that kind of dissolving the boundaries between flesh and technology and dreams and reality. I thought that was captured really well. Where this kind of we've advanced this point of humanity, and we're in this kind of like post-human era in this film.
I've seen a lot of comparisons of this film to The Fifth Element from Luc Besson, and
Oh yeah.
he certainly, like I mentioned the comic book series Valérian et Laureline, and he actually adapted the comics into a film in the late 2010s called Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets. It didn't do that well at the box office, and I didn't think it was that good, but
Yeah, I could see that connection to Fifth Element, and like comparing it to another, I don't know, American sci-fi film like Blade Runner, which is more quiet and contemplative, whereas this film and Fifth Element are much sort of louder and sillier and more exaggerated. Like it gives the impression that society isn't like dystopic and depressed. It's just kind of disorienting. It's not this kind of oppressive atmosphere where information is restricted and we're all on the margins. It's more like information and technology is just everywhere, and it creates this cacophony where you don't know which way to look. I don't have a lot more to say other than it was just a fun ride. But did you think there were any kind of deeper messages or deeper meanings to the film that you wanted to highlight?
It's kind of hard to like sort of like look into a deeper meaning with it because it's so bizarre.
right. And Kronk is, you know, harvesting these children to experience their dreams, but he's just doing it for his own fulfillment. He's not selling them. So I find it off the top of my head difficult to construct a unifying theme around commodification because there are those orphans who are, you know, trained to steal for the twins.
Like, you could maybe argue that's like him trying to relive like his youth, because like in the beginning with the story it says like because he can't dream he ages, so he's trying to like live through the dreams of others.
Yeah, and I think there's something tragic about Crank wanting to extend his life but not filling it with anything meaningful. Like he's not pursuing anything that really makes him happy. So like, and maybe that dovetails with the idea of technology. We can use all of this amazing technology to build bigger buildings and, you know, treat diseases, but that doesn't necessarily answer the question of what makes us happy or what gives our life meaning. And it seems like the happiest characters at the end are Juan and Miet, because they form this kind of bond and this makeshift family. And I guess there's kind of like competing visions of family maybe in the film. You've got the weird dysfunctional family on the oil rig who are always at each other's throats, but then you have the kind of camaraderie of the orphans and the relationship between Miet and Juan. Maybe that's kind of what it's getting at. There's a family where people are thrust together but are miserable, and then there's a family where you kind of choose and love and sort of support each other. And we see technology as not a sort of empowering or assistive force, but it's a corruptive force with the fleas they end up, potentially driving them apart. But good pick, Jock.